guys, it's Margarita, and today I'm going to show you how you can create your reading list. Anytime you set a new goal for yourself or you're experiencing some sort of challenge that you're really struggling with to overcome, it helps to seek advice from people who have already been through what you're going through or who have already accomplished what you're looking to accomplish. But the problem with that is we don't always have access to those kind of people to be able to pick their brain. And they're not necessarily the kind of people who are already in our circle. So one of the things we can do is to read more books. So for example, this year, my goal is I want to make more money on the side than I do for my full-time job. And when I do that, I'm going to quit my full-time job and do my side hustle full-time instead, right? And then later I want to grow this company. I'm going to scale this company. So the goal that I set for this year is I'm going to exponentially scale a highly profitable business, okay? And so that requires me to be able to think more strategically and plan more strategically. So basically, I need to be able to view business problems and opportunities in a different perspective, be able to think critically and come up with solutions creatively in a way that other people won't be able to. So that means that I need to read more books, strategic planning category in the business genre. And so I created a reading list for this year. So I want to go over how I created that list today. But before I go into that, if you're new to this channel, just want to let you guys know, just started my new company, Annie Yang Financial Corporation this year, and I'm looking to get new clients. So if you know anybody who is a small business owner who needs bookkeeping help, tell them to look for me. So if you successfully refer somebody to my company for bookkeeping services, I'm going to give away a $200 Amazon gift card. And you can find the instructions for this referral program down here, annieyangfinancial.com/referrals. Something that I used to do in the past when looking for books to read is I would just walk into my local public library and walk through their shelves and see if anything looked interesting. But I found that that wasn't really a productive strategy for looking for books to read, because if I live in a town, and at some point I did, that didn't have much public funding for libraries, and I didn't have that many options for books to choose from, right? And the kind of books that were there, they weren't that good. So nowadays, I go on Amazon.com and I go into the specific genre that I'm looking to read. So in this case, for this year, it's going to be the business and money genre. And then I clicked on process and infrastructure, and then I clicked on the strategic planning. So I went into that subgenre, the strategic planning subgenre, and then I basically just copied and pasted the list of all the best-selling books in this specific genre into a Google Sheet, right? Or an Excel sheet, you can do that. So I just copy and paste all those titles one by one. And sometimes they're duplicates, actually. So if the list isn't as long as you think it is, let's say the hardcover was a bestseller and then the paperback was also a bestseller. They also happen to be in this, best-selling list for some reason, just because they're different versions of the same book. I basically just do that, and then I'll remove all the duplicates, and then I have this list to work with, right? But of course, that's a lot of money to spend on books. I don't want to spend maybe $10 to $20 on a book if I'm going to read 60 books. It adds up, right? So then what I do is I go to my library's website and I go one by one. I copy and paste those titles into the search catalog, and I see if my local library carries it, either digitally or the paperback version. And then after that, I mark on my Excel sheet if my local library carries it. If it's the paperback version, I'll just put BPL, for example, which stands for Boston Public Library. The digital version, I put Hoopla because that's where I found it. And if it's not, then I'm going to eventually have to look for the book or buy the book on Amazon, right? So that's the third option. I prefer not to buy the book. I prefer to do all the free ones first. So after I create this list on Google Sheet, and I have all these filters set in place, then I just go through my list and I just start reading the ones that I can get through my local library first. And then if I cannot get it through the library, then I will buy it on Amazon. So for example, I'm on my 5th book in this subgenre for my list, right? But one of the books that I really ended up loving was this book called Blue Ocean Strategy. I read it on Hoopla, and it was just so like life-changing in terms of like the way it taught me to think about business problems, that I thought like there's just so much information in this book. It's not like a book that has one concept and then they just try to fluff it up and turn it into a book. This book is just like page after page after page of like ideas and new ways of thinking. So I thought to myself, well, for this kind of book, I think I'm going to have to read this book multiple times. I love this book so much that I ended up buying the hardcover copy on Amazon. So that's what I do. If I love a book after reading it from the library, I end up buying it. And this is the book I'm reading now, Playing to Win by A.G. Lafley. And this is what I mean by when I say it really helps to read books on the specific things that you're going through, because you want to get advice from people who have already done what you're looking to do. And it just so happens the author, A.G. Lafley, is the former CEO of Procter & Gamble, which is a Fortune 500 company, right? Like, I would never be able to sit down for lunch with A.G. Lafley and pick his brain and ask him for ideas on how I can improve my own business. But hey, I can read this book. I can learn more from reading this book than I can from having a 1-hour conversation with that guy, right? So that's why I think it's really important to read books. And then when I'm done with reading a book, I usually write in my journal, my journal here, just about like a page, maybe a page or two of the main concepts that I can take away from this book, because since I'm borrowing it from the library, I won't be able to keep referencing it, first of all, and it doesn't really help to reference like a big book. It helps to reference 1 or 2 pages, right? So, for example, I have over here, I read Good to Great by Jim Collins, and I have just a page here for that book. And then over here, I have An Elegant Puzzle by Will Larson. And then I think I have 2 pages dedicated to this book, right? It goes on to the next page, I think. No, that's Business Plan for Dummies. Okay, so, I like to take notes after I'm finished reading, because writing down the notes really helps you to ingrain those ideas into your head. A lot of the times when you're trying to learn something new, what really helps is to read again and again. Like, really let those ideas just stew in your mind for a long time, because that's what you need to do to really understand the concept in depth, right? We live in a culture nowadays where everyone thinks they want something instantly, right? Instant gratification is the name of the game these days. But if you really want to develop your critical thinking skills and think deeply, it requires you to think about the same concept in many different ways. Same concept, but just different ways of viewing the concept. So that's how you can create a reading list for this year to help you accomplish your goals. I hope that was helpful. If you found it helpful, please leave me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment below. What kind of goals are you looking to accomplish this year, and what books do you plan to read? And don't forget, guys, if you refer a bookkeeping client to my company and it becomes a successful referral, I'm giving away a $200 Amazon gift card, and you can find the instructions on www.annieyangfinancial.com/referrals. Thank you, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.